to C-suite roles, but so is our determination to break it. As HR practitioners, we are not just supporting businesses, we are shaping its future. Today, our guest speaker will share insights on how you can navigate the path to executive management and the boardroom. He is a seasoned executive, trainer, and people developer, serving as executive director of the Center of International Executive Education and Development, CIEED, with extensive experience in leadership, management, and organizational performance, having worked with top organizations as well and institutions globally, including a significant presence in Nigeria. Let's listen to his short video profile introduction.
Introducing Roger McCartney. Roger McCartney is an experienced executive, trainer and people developer serving as Executive Director of CIEED and Managing Director of Performance Inspired. He specializes in leadership, management and organizational performance, working as an educator, mentor and professional consultant, and spent many years with the Chartered Management Institute partnering with major UK employers, universities and business schools on leadership and learning and development initiatives. Roger founded Performance Inspired to deliver management consultancy that sharpens workplace focus, improves individual performance, and embeds refined business acumen across professional disciplines. He has contributed to MBA curriculum development with integrated chartered manager pathways at institutions such as the University of Liverpool, Lancaster, Liverpool John Moores, Durham Business School and others, and has worked with organizations including Jaguar Land Rover, BAE Systems, Bentley Motors, Cisco, Uniper and Vattenfall. Since 2014, he has been active in Nigeria with universities and communities, including the University of Ibadan and Covenant University, and is a legally adopted Nigerian with his adoptive family home in Jos. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm virtual applause and welcome to our speaker for today, Roger McCartney.
Let's give him a warm welcome. Welcome, Roger. You'll be leading us into today's masterclass. Good day. Over to you, please.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, good evening, everybody, and I'm very honoured and privileged to be invited to take part in this pre-conference event. My colleague in Nigeria will be attending the conference at the end of the month. But for this evening, I want to address the theme about how to break the glass ceiling. In some ways, I've broken that glass ceiling. I started from very average at academic attainment at school and went straight into work. And my whole life has been dedicated to continuous improvement, looking at ways in which I can raise my profile in better ways. And so I want to use my life's journey as the core part of the theme. But as we go through it, it will bring to life the things and the sort of thinking that we need to be doing and the practical steps that we need to be taking. So I hope you're able to... let me just share the screen. Bear with me a moment. So I'm hoping everybody can see that now. This is my background and the journey I've taken over many years. So I left school at 16. I only had average O-level qualifications, which was the UK school leaving level of qualification. I obtained my first job as a professional trainee in a local authority, and it took me 4 years to qualify. And I then having qualified, became a professional and then studied for a second professional qualification. And that developed my practice over the next 4 years. And after those 4 years, I'd proven myself enough in the field. I'd demonstrated that I'd got talents, and I got promoted. I became an area manager, so I had to shift location, but I took over responsibility for another office, working with fellow professionals, but with technical and admin support staff to support us. And that was the first real experience of developing leadership and management. Because I was now responsible for people, I was responsible for budgets, I was responsible for the efficiency and the effectiveness of the team that I was managing and leading. And that was when I realized how tough it is to be a leader and manager. I then got promoted to another professional role. This was in this time I was appointed to a headquarters position. It was more senior, but it meant being a professional in a specialist field in greater depth than I'd been before. Through that role, I developed a number of different professional areas of my responsibilities. And some years later, I got the opportunity to become a senior manager. It took me 10 years to get there, but I was now responsible for the field teams all across our administrative area, and that covered 5 offices in total. I retained that senior management role, but now embarked on corporate projects across the organisation. So my early career had been about becoming a good professional, being the best professional, gaining practical experience. But I'd reached the time in my life now where I wanted to be looking and focusing on broader opportunities. How could I get out of a narrow department, but start playing a contribution across the whole of the local authority and becoming more strategic in the work that I was doing? And it was in that way that I started to volunteer. I volunteered for so many projects, I couldn't count them nowadays. Um, and I got loads of opportunities to show myself, to develop myself, and the result of that is the person I am today and the journey that I've been on. The culmination of working more corporately and across the whole organisation was being given the opportunity to join a corporate rebranding team. And the whole idea was to create a new vision, a new mission, define the values that we wanted to live by. And it was a whole organization corporate rebranding. We got we developed the vision, the mission, the values, and then we worked with the top 50 and senior managers and directors within the local authority to work with us and polish those ideas and those thoughts up so that it was relevant to the administrative area that we were responsible for. It developed cross-functional understanding of what the whole remit and the responsibilities of the local authority, and everybody who was involved in that process had a much better appreciation about how different departments were tackling their responsibilities. But now we were looking at it under this new corporate umbrella with a new set of values supporting the mission. We then cascaded that to the next senior 150 managers across the organisation. And then shortly after that, it began to be cascaded down through all departments to everybody at ground level. And it was this experience that helped me to realize that while I was a good practitioner in my professional role, my real passion lay in developing people, helping teams to perform, and to encourage people to seize opportunities for success. Um, and when those come along, to take those opportunities and use them for their self-development as well as their professional development. So over this 20-year period now, I developed myself as a leader and manager. In that career in the local authority, I recognized that I'd actually exhausted my opportunities. There were no roles likely to come up where I would be seen as a good candidate. And it caused me to question, do I wish to stay here, or do I want something more from my professional life? And that was when I got the opportunity to follow a new career. And it was in this that I was, if effectively, I was headhunted by the Chartered Management Institute, of which I'd been a member and actively involved in their institute activities, both at branch level, local level, and at regional level. And I was invited to take up the position of regional manager. Here I worked with major employers, colleges and universities, and the membership of the Chartered Management Institute, who were senior managers from all types of organisation. And we were working with them on professional development in leadership and management. And the total focus of what we were doing was developing good leadership and management practice and looking at how we can improve performance individually, in teams, within sections or departments, and in terms of the whole organization. And to me, that was because, again, this passion I'd discovered in myself, this was an opportunity to fulfill my career aspirations and take on a whole new career. Initially, I was expected to cover the northwest of England, but over the ensuing year, my territory grew to cover the whole of northern England. So I took on northwest England, northeast England, an area called Yorkshire and Humberside. So I'd added to my responsibilities quite dramatically in that period of time. What did it do for me? It was really good for developing my leadership in management. It was really good for my developing my understanding of how other managers in other types of organizations were dealing with situations in their organizations, and how we were all charting our organizations through and hoping to lead to greater success. So I learned an awful lot about business, about leadership, about people, and about organizations, and particularly the importance of getting the right culture within the organization. But the day came when I'd done that for 13 years. There'd been some changes and some new working practices that I wasn't comfortable with. And it was at this point I decided that I should now move on. And as a result of that, that was when I founded Performance Inspired, which was in 2010. Having learnt what I'd learnt, I felt competent enough to deal with people and workforce development, personal and professional development, primarily for individuals, but also guiding organizations in how to develop specialist teams and so on. Organizational development, generic leadership and management development, enterprise and entrepreneurship, making staff more aware of the business needs and looking at it in a more business-like fashion at their organizations. Coaching and mentoring, professional consulting, program and project management, and more recently sustainability and event management. In 2011, having been steeped in the values of the Chartered Management Institute, I decided that it would be a good part of my business to become an educational centre for them. And we've grown that business, and we now deal internationally around the world. And we've got a very successful track record with the learners and students who come to us. The Centre for International Executive Education and Development, CIEED for short, we have an educational focus. We're delivering CMI qualifications, and there are varying levels of qualification in leadership and management, coaching and mentoring, professional consulting, program and project management, and finally sustainability. And it's through my latter career has been working with organizations, working with individuals, developing their professional skills in all of these subject areas, and working with them to help them to achieve success in gaining qualifications and going on from there. So brief overview of what we've just been seeing. I was an underperforming student at school, found academic qualifications tough. I then spent 13 years doing part-time study to get 5 qualifications to help me progress my career. It was obvious I'd got ambition. I had a focus on how to get there, but I needed qualifications to demonstrate and underpin the knowledge and experience that I needed. And 3 of those qualifications were professional. They were all about my job and the role that I performed within the organization. Add that to the practice and the practical experience that you get day to day over a number of years, and that should result in you becoming a good professional. Through that time, I also did 2 business and management qualifications. Add that with the experience of dealing with people and latterly dealing with other organizations, you do learn how to be a good leader and a good manager, what you need to do as well as what you don't do. But it's all given me a successful career that I've enjoyed. And in my local authority career, it enabled me to become a top 50 employee within an organization of 19,000 employees. And for an underperforming pupil from school with modest academic attainment, it wasn't really a bad performance. But it wasn't enough, and I've gone on from there and hopefully improved myself as a result. So what are the other qualities we need for success? Understanding yourself. Who are you? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Your attitudes and your behaviors. Can you see yourself and how you behave and how others might see you? We need to be developing our personal attributes, and we also need to recognize our weaknesses. And it's whilst we should work hard on our strong attributes, because that is the source for fueling your career. Where we recognize important weaknesses, we need to work on them and improve on those. And all this process, of course, is about enriching the CV as you go. We need to be good with interpersonal skills. How we deal with people is absolutely critical. Communication, are we effective communicators, and can we help people understand what we need them to understand? And then finally, working with people and developing team working. It's okay being a successful individual, but greater success comes from working effectively in teams, and you get the added richness that everyone then wants to contribute to whatever it is that's going on. We need to excel in our primary professional discipline, and I've given some insights into how I did that. We need to be proactive in seeking opportunities to take on projects which broaden our experience, initially in our professional discipline. But as happened in my case, I was looking to go beyond and get a much broader perspective and broader opportunities to make a contribution for my employer initially. And I've carried that forward into my new careers as I've gone forward. But all this needs to enrich the CV. I have a long CV. It's probably 16 pages long. I wouldn't dream of submitting that for a job, but it's an aid memoir for me to understand where I've been, some of my achievements, because you never know, the day will come when you need to demonstrate that you've had success and achievement in something in particular. We also need to lead and manage effectively. Now, when we qualify and take up a professional role, 80% of our time is spent on the professional role, and probably 20% in leading and managing. But as we climb up the ladder and we go through middle management, we probably finish up with 50% professional and 50% leader manager. And when we reach the top, we're now dealing much less with the professional knowledge and skills that we've acquired. We're spending much more time dealing with strategic issues, higher level issues in terms of leading and managing within the organization. So that our careers transition as we take on more responsibilities, we become less of the professional, but our needs are to become better leaders and managers as we go forward. Whether we like it or not, there is a glass ceiling for everyone in one way or another. For me, it was being a low achiever from one of the lesser schools. It had no reputation for educational achievement. And right from the start, it would be difficult to get jobs. I would be compared with pupils that came from a higher level school, or a grammar school, as we used to call them. So the modest educational beginning that I had, that has effectively been my glass ceiling, because it's there in your CV. You can't shift it. You have to live with it. And what I've tried to do is make a determined effort to put it into the shadows so that my other achievements are seen in higher profile. So as we climb the career ladder, our lives are usually in the hands of other people, and it's other people who make decisions about us. They have views about the way we are, our capabilities, and those views are really important in whether we get opportunities to progress or not. For some, it might be gender bias, race bias, faith bias. And these can be perceived as negative influences, and we might think that these things have acted against us. But there are also situations where, if we align with gender, race, or faith in particular ways, they may become positives, that we are then of the favored gender, race, or faith. So it's not always a negative connotation. We need to, but the reality is people within organizations have bias, and we need to convince them that that is irrelevant. It's a question of who we are as a professional that outweighs any other consideration. But we need to recognize the glass ceiling. We need to be conscious of it. And throughout our working lives, every day, be conscious that others will judge us through their own lens. In the workplace, we'll be judged by our attitudes, behaviors, our successes and achievements, how we deal with people, and how we react to criticism, deal with difficult situations, and so on. Our duty to ourselves is to be aware of these factors, and each and every day, that is something that you should have at the back of your mind. It only takes one negative experience, and suddenly people take a different view and a different perspective of you, and that can then hold you back, sometimes permanently, sometimes temporarily. But you have to build some bridges and some credence as a result of having a negative experience. So managing ourselves on a daily basis, plus dedicating ourselves to our learning, our development, our performance, and gaining those experiences, they're all factors which help us to get to the next rung up the ladder. It's all about our personal development. It's all about gaining competence and understanding, and these help us to become better professionals. We need executive leadership mindset as we aspire to climb to higher levels. So in preparation for senior roles, we need to act and behave maturely. We need to demonstrate that we can cope with challenges and difficult situations, achieving positive outcomes wherever possible. We need to perform well in our dealings with people at all levels. And we need to demonstrate that we're not just focused on our own job role. We also need to demonstrate that we're mindful of others and take account of the bigger picture. So we'll need to be in tune with the part of the organization that we work within and the people that are working there. We need to be mindful of how we're being seen by senior management. And the more we can align ourselves to the bigger picture and demonstrate we're there to fulfill the vision and the values of the organization, that is really important in getting a positive profile. But at the end of the day, we're just a single cog in a very large machine very often. In larger organizations, we need to demonstrate that we can work across departments and divisions. These experiences prepare us for more strategic leadership roles beyond those of our discipline. As I've explained, I proactively sought those opportunities. These experiences may challenge and stretch us at times, but in the long term, they give a good grounding, build our self-confidence, our self-esteem, but most importantly, we gain recognition and respect from our peers and our superiors. Through these experiences and connections, we may be more successful in gaining wider exposure for job applications beyond our current employer. These experiences enrich the CV, and this enables us to gain more invitations to be on shortlists. At the end of the day, it's all about differentiating ourselves from everyone else. What is it that's special and relevant that we can bring to the next potential role? Strategic networking and mentorship. This is something I did. I dedicated a lot of my activity to this. So building valuable professional networks and enhancing visibility and personal branding for leadership recognition. Raising your personal profile and building a great reputation is really important. Gain the admiration and respect of your colleagues and your superiors. Build a good reputation. Be seen by others, whether it's in the wider professional discipline or within other organizations. Seek every opportunity to raise that profile, but in a positive way so that people recognize the talent that you are. So how do we do that? Becoming a specialist within your professional discipline is the first step. This often enables you to make connections within your professional sector. It may also lead to opportunities to carry out higher level projects and thereby make proven impact. And that was particularly a successful strategy for me. I became an expert in my professional discipline, and then I found myself meeting with other experts in my field. Having done that, I then became an expert in other fields and made connections with a broader range of new experts in the new aspects of our discipline. These were opportunities where you would meet with people, you would share ideas and thinking, and you could judge how good these people were. And that gave you the opportunity to then measure yourself against them. Am I as good as them? Do I need to be better than them? From regional level, working in these specialist groups, I then chaired my professional fields of specialism. And this then enabled me to engage nationally because the regional chairs formed the national committee. And so suddenly we've moved from just having regional profile, we now have the opportunity to engage with other experts from across the nation. So learning how other people approach their jobs, how they were dealing with difficult situations, exchanging all those insights was extremely important and key for me. And while all the things that I learned about while I was away from my job, meeting with these specialists, I was then able to bring the new knowledge and the new insights back into my job role and to help my local authority to address them. So these sorts of experiences and appointments, they're really impressive on your CV. Excuse me. So when you get the opportunity, look outside your employing organization, but in your professional discipline initially. And organizations like your association are ideal examples of that. I joined an elite professional body for leadership and management, the Chartered Management Institute. I joined it as a member initially. Excuse me, sorry about that. So I joined as a member. I became active in meeting with other people at their professional development meetings. And I was really keen to look at how to learn from good leaders and managers in all sorts of organizations about how they approached their professional lives, how they were achieving success, and seeing if those sort of strategies, those sorts of ideas were helpful for me. But it was all about developing good leaders and managers while also promoting and engaging in performance improvement. And that was whether we were looking at ourselves as individuals to improve, our teams that we were working with in our organizations, or they could also be applied across organizations. So this was a new learning environment. In my local authority career, there were times when we were being criticized in the press and media, and it was important for us to recognize what sort of standards of performance we needed to be reaching and whether we were comparable with private sector, particularly the larger private sector organizations. I was pleased to say that we were performing pretty well, and whilst I did learn things from managers in other organizations, it wasn't in a different league to where we were in our own right. But in this professional body, I could rub shoulders with leaders and managers of all types of organization, so the private, public, not-for-profit sector, different categories of industry, heavy, medium, light manufacturing, could be office-based and professional organizations, distribution, retail, and professional practices. So through that membership experience, I learned a lot. And I gained a very broad perspective, much larger than the world that I was living in the local authority. In this environment, you can really demonstrate your capabilities, you can engage, you can lead, and you can manage. This can then lead to hearing about other promotional opportunities and even to the chance to get headhunted. These people can also be potential mentors who might help you and guide you in your professional development and add to your ability to scan wider horizons. So mentoring can really be helpful and help you to develop your confidence, especially when your guide and mentor is not too close to you in your employing organization. I always find in-house mentoring, it's always around the life, the purpose and the values of the organization. But I think sometimes we need an independent perspective from a guide and a mentor. So looking outside our employers and finding more independent types of mentor, but those who've necessarily got years of experience, and they can often give you a much broader range of support and help you in a much broader range of experience and perspective. And all of that builds your self-confidence. Now, I mentor many people. I have mentored many more, most of them younger developing managers and leaders, and especially when they've been studying for higher qualifications in leadership, management, or business, and all for the purpose of progressing their career. How do they climb the ladder? So I just want to give some brief case studies here for individuals who I've personally mentored. The first one is Tutu. She's a Nigerian woman who's settled in the UK. She was working in the not-for-profit sector, doing consultancy work, but she was already self-driven. She wanted to know how to improve herself and what she needed to do. So she approached me to become her mentor, and as a result of our mentoring discussions, she then embarked on gaining a postgraduate certificate in professional consulting. Because she was acting as a consultant with charitable organizations particularly, she wanted to improve the credence of her professional consulting knowledge and skills. So that was about giving credence to her professional role. She then followed that by doing a postgrad course in coaching and mentoring, which now qualified her to coach and mentor senior leaders in the small, medium-sized business sector and across the not-for-profit sector. So professionally, those two qualifications were big stepping stones in making her a more consummate professional in the field that she was specializing in. Now she is a much sought-after guide and mentor and consultant in her own right to senior managers in these sectors. She's continued to progress her education and gone on to do an MBA and is now studying for a PhD. All of this, the drive for this was all in the name of breaking the glass ceiling, enhancing her professional standing in the world, and giving her better opportunities with which to work. And she's a lovely lady, and it's a delight to see how successful she's become. We move on to Charity. Charity was a Nigerian woman, gained a 2-2 degree in a Nigerian university, but was fortunate to obtain a scholarship to come and study in the UK. And she came to London to embark on an MBA program. It was early in her MBA program that she made approaches to me to ask if I would be her mentor. And since that time, I am still her mentor. So this is now several years that relationship has continued. But at that time, she spent 2 years in the university. She gained a first-class master's in business administration. She also gained a BSc in marketing and digital technology. She was wise enough to realize that information and communications technology, adding marketing to her communications qualifications, those were going to enrich her professional discipline. And she then also studied for a postgraduate certificate in learning and development, so she could teach and train others. She finished her university time, got a good job working in a London health trust. But now she's moved back out of the health trust and gone into her university. And at the moment, she's the head of international relations. So she's done extremely well for herself. And as I said, we've had a very long and respectful relationship ever since I first engaged with her. Moving on to Jose, he was a team leader from Spain, working in a subsidiary company of the global giant Cisco Systems in the UK. Jose needed to differentiate himself and embarked on a course of study for a CMI diploma in leadership and management. And this was to enable him to make a broader contribution in his work role. He wanted to improve his self-confidence, improve knowledge and insights into how he should be leading and managing his team. And he was an excellent student. So as a result of getting his diploma in leadership and management and his improved practice in his job role, he quickly gained promotion to become a divisional leader in the UK. He then studied for a CMI diploma in coaching and mentoring. And this was all for the purposes of getting the best out of the people he was working with, whether they were members of his team or whether they were professional colleagues that he needed to be working in partnership with to achieve his work objectives. And this then quickly led him to becoming a director with responsibility for the UK, Europe, and also added the territory of the Middle East. So he had a rapid promotion in a very short space of time. But he had the knowledge, the talent, and he formalized it. And that demonstrated to his employer that he was worth investing in, and he was given the opportunity to take up his director role. And the final case I wanted to raise was a lady called Khushbu, an Indian woman who came to the UK to break away from the Indian work culture, which was very male dominated. So in her way, she was wanting to break the glass ceiling in terms of gender. She came to the UK to study for a diploma in management and leadership while pursuing her MBA at Cranfield University, a very highly regarded university in the UK. I mentored her through both her programs, which culminated in her gaining a first-class MBA with distinction. She's now a full member of the Chartered Management Institute and has gained her Chartered Manager status, as has been the case with the 3 previous case studies that I've utilised. So think about the impact of being a professional, professionally recognised, professionally qualified manager and leader. And what would this happen with your CV if you were then able to demonstrate that you were a chartered manager, which is that acknowledged as the gold standard in proving you are a good leader and manager, and you merit taking up senior positions. But Khushbu gained that ultimate accolade of becoming a chartered manager, and it was all through producing evidence that demonstrated the impact that she was making in her work role. By presenting her CV, she has the wonderful opportunity to now apply with confidence to more senior positions, and she's already had a promotion. And she's actively gaining a wide range of experiences, making new achievements. And like me, she's made it her purpose to seek broader range experiences, excuse me, that will enrich and build self-confidence in herself. But she's actively working on developing the CV and the content that she's able to put in it. And knowing her, I've got every confidence that she will achieve boardroom level in her career. So those are 4 examples of people who've seen the opportunity to better themselves, to simultaneously develop their professional knowledge and experience, but also to apply and look at the wider aspects of professional development in terms of leadership and management, and engaging in other types of project, sometimes taking them beyond their employing organization. So the benefits of mentors. We can seek mentors for all sorts of benefits in the workplace, to better understand the work and context of the organization, to support your own professional development and career path. An external mentor brings you the independent perspective. You can draw on their experience, you can gain advice and guidance, and also get clearer insights into how other organizations tackle work issues. So a mentor is a very important part of our professional development, and you need to think carefully about how you take that up. I was asked to mention governance and boardroom readiness. So understanding the corporate governance and responsibilities, mastering the level decision making and risk management, Among the most important factors in engaging with senior managers and members of the board is having the adult and mature qualities and behaviours, as we'd mentioned earlier. It's also to understand the dynamics and governance of and decision-making processes within your organisation, and gain, in particular, the language needed to communicate on equal terms with senior level colleagues at the top of the organisation. My tutor, when I was doing my studies, on the first day of the 2-year study program, he said, you're going to learn two things. One is you're going to learn the language that senior managers and senior leaders speak and understand. And number two, nothing in an organization is achieved without people. And you need to get the hearts and minds of your people behind you in order to be successful. And those two pieces of advice have rung true so many times through my career. So we balance these with the depth and breadth of professional expertise, the ability to see and adapt to the bigger picture, and these qualities are the ones that will help to gain promotions into senior and director positions. Overcoming biases and barriers, addressing unconscious workplace bias while advocating for inclusion and equity. As mentioned earlier, there are biases and hidden barriers. Some are conscious and obvious, but others are less so. Organisations endeavour to be fair as regards equality, diversity and inclusion. And I'm sure in Nigeria, as in the UK, we have laws that require that fairness and equality. But however, there are biases within the people who are responsible for applying those policies and procedures. Um, and we need to be mindful that, there may be occasions when we need to work extra hard or demonstrate that we have that extra quality that makes these sorts of thoughts less relevant. Any organization should be wanting to appoint the best people that they can to fulfill the positions that are available. Bias might even be based around the types of school or university that you went to, and that was my glass ceiling. I mentioned that earlier on. Our individual aim needs to be able to rise above these factors as best we can. We need to try to ensure we have the talent, the experience, the proven capability that the employer will want to appoint us or to promote us in preference to others. Skills for executive success. Some thoughts were provided: mastering negotiation and influence at senior levels, financial acumen for boardroom discussions, effective communication and conflict resolution in leadership roles. But excelling in your professional role is a key achievement and a necessity. Keeping calm and clear-headed in stressful situations, demonstrating good leadership and management capabilities, aligning yourself with the culture and goals of your employing organization, and then demonstrating that you have a broader perspective across your organization and in your profession and beyond. And you can bring those extra qualities, those extra experiences to bear into the job role. And it's so important to come across as the candidate that they really want. A career roadmap and personal action plan. We need to focus on evaluating oneself, defining leadership goals, creating an executive portfolio, and developing a strategy to step into senior management and executive roles. We need an action plan for our personal and professional development. We need to find opportunities to enrich our CV, as in all probability, this is going to be needed to merit selection on any shortlist. We also need to have a plan for where we see our career progressing. What yardsticks do we use? Where do I want to be in 12 months? Where do I see myself in 3 years and 5 years? And depending where your ambition is, understanding your level that you are seeking to attain helps you then to reflect and to get a pretty clear focus on what it is you need to do to get these opportunities. Personal and professional development, we mentioned. What might this entail? Think of the following themes. Consider your personal attributes and capabilities. Do some self-diagnosis. So what is it that we have in terms of strengths? What is it that we will need as we move forward and aspire to achieve these higher level positions? It's all about preparing ourselves, and the most important person to help us get there is ourselves. We need to have good interpersonal skills, communication skills, and team leading skills. Absolutely critical. So if we're finding it difficult dealing with people, we're not very clear in our communication, we need to be asking ourselves, what is it we can do that will improve that situation so that we can then move forward? Employability is about having knowledge, skills that will always be useful on a day-to-day basis within your work role. So knowledge of ICT, knowledge and skills, being good at simple things, being good in terms of language, good in terms of numbers, absolutely critical. But it's a very tiny motif at the end of that line, but it's artificial intelligence is going to transform and is transforming the way we deliver work these days. And in terms of employability, understanding AI, looking at how the different ways it can be deployed, it can help make us much more efficient and effective employees. But also we can look at how we deploy it in terms of our work processes in the bigger scheme of things. And artificial intelligence is here to stay. It is having a massive impact, and professionally, we need to be aligning ourselves and understanding its capabilities. In professional development, there's two aspects of this in our professional discipline. This is an ongoing and lifelong process in terms of leading, managing, gaining the strategic overview and relevance. It also helps to have good enterprise knowledge and application. The concept of entrepreneurship when you're an employee in a larger organization, considering in terms of your job role, the financial impact that whatever it is you're doing would have on your employer is really quite crucial. And there was a phase in my career where we were looking to develop money raising schemes so that as a public sector body, we could draw in additional monies to make us more effective and to invest in the services that we were offering. So rather than being an entrepreneur and running this as a business in our own right, we were being entrepreneur. The phrase for it when you're inside an organization is the intrapreneurship. So having financial nous, business acumen, and applying it as and when needed is really important as part of our professional development. We've talked about leadership and management. It's absolutely critical. And always bear in mind that as we climb the ladder, we are professionals to a lesser degree as we move up. And we're leaders and managers in much, much greater perspective. And that's something that you need to bear in mind as you climb the ladder. All these aspects need to be addressed in the CV in one way or another. So being sharp, incisive, and concise in how that information is presented is really important. So we also need to enrich the CV in terms of our qualifications. So what qualifications do we need for our primary professional discipline? What will business and management qualifications do for us to ensure that we have broader appeal for senior management posts? Can we enhance our professional status? Can we indicate in our CV what professional status we have in our primary professional discipline for the start? And in terms of appealing to future employers and senior management, demonstrating the credence of your leadership and management capability is really important. And for me, gaining chartered manager was another step that was important to enrich my CV. And it is acknowledged as the gold standard award for leadership and management and a real differentiator in terms of getting on shortlists. So, recap. If we want to break through the glass ceiling, we need to take a long, hard look and honest look at ourselves. We need structure and focus around our personal and professional development. We need to be good and a proven performer in our professional discipline. We need as much broader experience with achievement and impact as we can get. And don't forget to consider your personal derailers. These are the qualities that you do not see, but others do. So they can easily stop your progression, and you may not be conscious of why. So if you have aspects of your attitudes, behaviors that aren't 100% aligned with the needs of the organization and the people around you, you need help in identifying your derailers, and that's where an internal mentor might well be quite helpful to you. We need to pursue a business leadership or management qualification to enhance the professional credence that we have, demonstrate our determination to be a senior manager, and it's important to consider whether getting chartered manager status, is that something that we feel will give us the edge. We then need a great CV, which sells us in our chosen employer and for any job role that we might apply for or be offered. We need to work on being interviewed, getting practiced in being interviewed, and be mindful of how you look and behave in the interview stage. Remember how important the first 15 seconds are. They're absolutely crucial. If somebody gets a good vibe about you, or the panel of it that are interviewing get a good vibe, that is a great help. A good handshake is important, and you need to provide plenty of eye-to-eye contact throughout the interview. So that brings us now to the conclusion. There is no guaranteed way to ensure we can get to the top. Being in the right place and at the right time is key. I've seen that happen so many times. But we need to give ourselves the best chance that we can. And I hope that this training session today has provided participants with some practical insights, proven strategies, and actionable steps to overcome barriers that might limit career growth. And by fostering the executive mindset, building powerful networks, gaining governance skills, participants hopefully will leave better equipped to not only break through that glass ceiling, but also to excel as influential leaders in executive management and boardroom roles. So thank you for bearing with me through my journey. And I hope that some of those key pointers have been helpful to you.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Roger. Let's appreciate Roger for this powerful takeaway. I think it's been mind blowing. No, I think it's actually been mind blowing. Thank you so much, Roger, for sharing relatable case studies from your mentees' journeys and for being vulnerable about the glass ceilings you broke, actually. It's clear that shattering the glass ceiling requires a deliberate mindset shift, strategic action, and a fierce commitment to excellence, executive presence, impactful networking, mastering our domain and beyond. And let's just own it practically. That's what you're saying. You're saying we should walk the talk, we should command the room, we should exude confidence, and we should build on our merit readiness and seize opportunities when they arise. I believe the senior management and boardroom role awaits everyone here. I hope we're all ready to take that leap. Yes? Given the wealth of insights from Roger's impressive 60-page CV. Yes, he mentioned it for anyone who means that. I am sure we won't be able to unpack all of it today. So let's dive into the Q&A session. Let's have all the questions in the chat via the chat box, and I'll take it shortly. However, Roger, to get started, I would like to ask, what advice would you give to senior level HR professionals now who are aspiring to break into executive management or the boardroom, but may feel like they are not being taken seriously or recognized for their potential, even when they have achieved and attained all of the qualifications and have done everything you've mentioned already?
One of the things I got involved with when I was working for the Chartered Management Institute was to work with the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development in the UK, CIPD as it's known around the world. And CIPD were developing the concept of business partnering. And business partnering was about being able to align with the wider issues and aspects of the organization, not just the HR discipline. And we developed a learning and development, a CPD program, which would help CIPD members to start thinking through if they wanted to develop and progress beyond the HR department. The key plank to achieve that was to actually become recognized as a business partner within the CIPD community. So I was honored and privileged to be part of that, to contribute to it. And it was about doing leadership and management training, understanding the dynamics of organizations and the impact across organizations and the different sections and departments that make up an organization. And it was about the understanding about how to reinforce the focus on the purpose of the organization, the values of the organization, recognizing the sort of culture we needed in an organization that would harness and enthuse the people who worked there. So in those days, we called it business partnering. But it was a development program that really focused on how can we get HR professionals into senior management roles in different outside the HR department, but contributing to operational aspects of the organization. So I hope that's given some insights into the sort of development that is needed.
Mhm.
Knowledge and understanding is one thing. Getting opportunities to practice that is the thing that brings it to life.
Okay, just to add to that, I have Elizabeth asking, well, she's thanking you again for an amazing presentation. However, she's asking, in order to uphold fairness and justice amongst team members, especially in decision making, I'm not sure I'm crafting this properly, Elizabeth. Maybe you want to quickly turn on your, or maybe unmute, and then you can provide the question properly and craft it well. But I'll just read what she has said on upholding fairness and justice amongst team members, especially in decision making, be considered being emotional or sentimental. Does such an attribute make you unprepared for leadership and managerial roles? She's asking. I hope you got that, Roger.
Yeah, okay. This is each situation and each circumstance is different. We all experience bias in different ways. Um, and the best thing we can do is to be good enough to overcome people's perceived objectives or objections, and why they would think that we're not the right person. So the more we can invest in ourselves, the more we can be structured in developing ourselves and preparing ourselves and the CV and everything that we would use to apply for the job. Um, we need to we need to show ourselves to be the best that we can be. And if there are things on our CV that are lacking, if we've got areas of experience and knowledge that we haven't got, we have to be honest with ourselves, and we have to um, grasp the nettle and take our own action to fulfill the shortcomings that we have identified, and we really do need to do something about that.
Wow, thank you so much. Ronke is just adding to the conversation, and she's saying top of the required skills is communication skills. There is more to communication than what is said. So she's thanking you for the practical tips. I have another question, by the way, Roger. You've mentioned business founders and business leaders. How can they support the growth and development of their HR leaders into executive level roles? And what does a more inclusive and supportive environment really look like?
Yeah, I mean, it is the role of senior managers and senior leaders in organizations, regardless of which departments they're in, which disciplines they are members of. It is important that they train, develop, encourage, nurture all their people to be the best professionals that they can be. Um, by doing those things, by helping people understand their part of the organization, what is their part in the jigsaw, how that piece of the jigsaw fits with everything around it. Senior leadership is all about helping and supporting and nurturing that type of activity within the organization. For the HR professionals, this can come in two ways. The senior HR leadership should be, in their loyalty to their professional discipline, should be encouraging not only themselves to be good enough to become general managers and leaders within their organization, they also need to be encouraging the younger, more developing people and giving them the belief and a roadmap that will help them to plan a route so that they can become more senior people within their HR function, but they might also offer their people to take on temporary roles in departments within their organization to get a broader perspective of how the rest of the organization is working, functioning, how it's even thinking and performing. So there's quite a lot of activities that can be done, and it would be up for each senior leadership team within every organization to decide how best to do that. But in terms of looking at how we can get HR professionals into the senior management and boardroom levels, it's within the HR discipline that we need to be working particularly on that and identifying opportunities that will gain experience for those who want to take on the business partnering types of role.
Okay, so I acknowledge the fact that you need to join another meeting, but I have one final question, and that is from Ronke Patrick, and she's asking, can one really thrive and grow in an environment where leaders are unwilling to share or transfer knowledge? She's asking because you had mentioned and made reference to mentorship opportunities.
First of all, I would recognize that as a failure of senior management to allow an environment to exist like that. The one thing I learned many, many years ago was that it doesn't matter what gender we are, what race we are all humans. We all have talent and we're all unique. We're all quite different. So this, there isn't a single one thing that we can do. We have to work with, each individual has to work out for themselves what they need to do. Um, the the important thing is as senior management, we need to be if you're in an organization where the senior management and not providing the right environment for people and giving equality of opportunity for people to progress, then the level of churn, people leaving that organization, seeking jobs elsewhere, is going to accelerate. And we all know what the cost of recruiting and hiring it becomes a major burden on organizations. So the wisdom has got to be that senior management recognize that they have to do something proactive to change the nature and the culture within the organization. They have to change the hearts and minds of everybody and make them all feel that we're all members of this team. We're all here to perform our own function for the overall purpose of the organization. That's the unifying factor. And if you're in an organization where that is not happening, then it's going to make every employee who's suffering as a result of that think twice, do I really want to be here? And sometimes we do have to vote with our feet and find other opportunities. But it needs some careful thought. How can, at what point and at what level do we need to make that change of thought? Is it just in one section? Is it across the organization as a whole? Where are the key points where something, these sort of messages need to be knocked home? And any manager worth their salt will want to change an environment that is like that.
Thank you so much for the insights, Roger. I want to leave or give every delegate here a challenge. Are you ready to shatter your own glass ceiling? Are you ready to unlock your full potential? Well, I would say I am ready. Let's take a moment to reflect. Let's turn this aspiration into action. As Roger so aptly put it, the most important person to get there is ourselves. So please boost your CV, own your journey, believe in yourselves, and make it happen. So, on behalf of the Global President, Board of Trustees, Management Committees, Learning and Capacity Development Committee, and the Annual Conference Planning Committee. Thank you again for your time and for sharing, Roger. Please let's give Roger another virtual round of applause. In fact, via the chat box, and considering that Roger is a proud Nigerian brother all the way from Jos, let's thank him in the Nigerian way we are comfortable with. So, Roger, I'm a Yoruba lady. I would say Eshe. Thank you so much. I believe those in the north would say, Nagodi. Yeah. So thank you so much. We appreciate you for all of the insights, and thank you to everyone who has stayed up till this moment. You all are appreciated. But before we draw the curtains on the high impact 4 part build up to the 8th annual conference, I have been made to make this special announcement. Please be reminded we are officially 4 days away to the D Day. Yes, 4 days away. It's the 8th annual AEHRP conference with over 26 global speakers, 3 days of deep insights, 7 powerful plenary sessions, 6 technical sessions, a vibrant career clinic, and a gala and awards night, which is scheduled to hold next week, Thursday, the 28th, and Friday, the 29th, virtually. It promises to be an exciting, mind blowing, and networking moment where all of us as visionaries will converge, ideas will be ignited, and the future will definitely unfold. Of course, with an epic gala night. So remember, wear your beautiful masks. Yes, it's a masked party and a blue carpet session where there will also be exhibitions and awards holding at the prestigious Radisson Blue Ikeja GRA on Saturday, the 30th. If you haven't registered, you are wrong. Yes, you are wrong. Don't be told. Make sure you are there. The registration closes by 11:59 p.m. on the dot on Tuesday, August the 26th. So, see you all from Thursday. My name again is Bukola Oluwameshe. On behalf of the Global President and the Planning Committee of the 8th Annual AEHRP Conference, enjoy the rest of your day from wherever you're joining us from. Thank you all.